All right, we're on to the next step. Starting to put in the tables, starting to put the studio equipment together, getting the screens up. And each step we go through, that sound in this room gets nice and damp. The window area has been now treated with a very thick material that is very good for absorbing sound. And if it's not enough, we can just go over it again or work along that edge on both sides to make it nice and sealed. However, every single room, every single person, every single studio producer has their own system and has their own sound that they like to work with when it's in its raw format, the audio. So there is no perfected sequence for all this. It's all trial and error. That sheet might be too much. I might want to remove it once I start recording and notice that there's too much dampness. I want to loosen it up. This booth, as small as it is, this is going to be a booth the next day or two. I'm supposed to be filling it 100% based on the consultation that we got because it's so small. And then if it's too much, if it's too damp, I'm either going to be left with opening the door a little bit to let some of the air in and out, or getting some bass traps, or removing some of the pieces so that it's not covered 100%, but it's more like this, 50 to 75%. Anyway, the sound in here is starting to sound amazing. We got the motif, the mixer, the keyboard, the two screens set up. We're going to start working on this side, have some more gear over here. Set up the monitors on their own stands back there in that corner and in that corner, or on L brackets on a corner piece in between these pieces on the wall, and that's that. Okay, day 3. We're about to go into the studio. Open her up. The gear is inside. The walls are finished. 2 workstations have been set up. It's really quiet and damp now, to the point where I wanted to bring in some of these plants to bring in some oxygen, because you run out of air real fast. The air is really dry in here, and unfortunately I smoke, so I gotta have some ventilation going. Hence, we've left a part of that drape open, and there's a window right there, perfect for a little bit of air when we want to get at it. And then one other thing I'm doing is I grabbed other drapes to put over this one. That's just a very thick made for soundproofing drape, and you can use a thick blanket really if you really want, and simply just make sure you're covering the whole area. And then over this we're going to hang a rod and more drapes to cover this because it's not too pretty. And what else we'll do is up here in the light, and back up a little bit on the ceiling, I'm going to darken this screen so you guys can see what's going on. We're actually going to hang drapes from here going down to the wall, and then also from here going down to this wall on a diagonal. And what that'll do is soften and dampen the noise a little bit more. Then we're also going to want to go into these corners here and throw in a few bass traps. And if you don't know what a bass trap is, it's basically the same soundproofing material, but a big cube of it, and it just traps some of the bass in the room. One other thing we'll do is these speakers, the monitors, they're currently sitting right here. What we'll want to do is get them off the table, because it's vibrating the tables even though they're sitting on the soundproofing. We're going to want to put them on their own stands down there. And the stands we use, for anyone out there that's going out to purchase some of this stuff, wants to make your own studio and have stands, you'll want it perfectly symmetrical. So I'm standing in the middle. Let me get rid of this chair. I'm standing in the middle of the studio right now, and if those speakers were on the floor on stands that didn't have spikes, the whole room would vibrate, the floor would vibrate, whoever's underneath me would get pissed off. But if you can, get stands where on the bottom of the stands they have actual spikes. So the whole stand is sitting on very thick aluminum spikes on the bottom, and then your floors don't vibrate, nothing vibrates. The bass is captured within the air of the room. Another thing we'll notice is some of my pieces are starting to fall off. Something I didn't take into consideration is this room heats up a lot with all this equipment. So I'm going to need to go back in here. We've actually purchased tiny little concrete nails and screws And I might want to actually just nail some of these guys in there, because see, that was about to fall off too. The gear's already in here. I can cover everything and keep going with the spray glue, but the spray glue is very messy. And I don't want to get any of that spray glue on any of my material, on any of my tables, on any of the, like nothing in here. I don't want glue on anything. So I might be opt to just nailing some of these guys in here. Also, what you'll want to notice is I've left this area back here open enough so I can walk back there and get at stuff and open the window or get at the wires. Once we're all set up, this will all be cleaned up. And if you guys have any twist ties or any Velcro strips or any of that, use them efficiently and tie up all your wiring so it's nice and clean. The last thing you want to happen is, just like you see back there, the foam is falling. And if that foam gets at a hot element, it might melt and cause a fire in my studio. Even though these soundproofing bits, the acoustic foam is fire retardant proof, or it's got fire retardant on it, so it's fireproof, but it can still cause a fire. So you want to eventually get all the wires cleaned up so it doesn't look like that, and we'll do that shortly. And then, like I said, we're putting the rod up, we're getting some more of the material to hang from the ceiling diagonally, and then last but not least, we'll get to work on that sound booth.